Okay, welcome everybody. So this is another broadcast this afternoon, and we promised we're going to come live today again to give you an update on what's going on around the country. Some of the news that we've been following has been the president's burial. It's no longer news that he's passed on, that the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, has died. But what is news right now is basically who had attended and who didn't pay that last respect. There have been uproar about the fact that Peter Obi skipped his burial. Well, for reasons best known to him, these are the kinds of events that he would attend, going by his nature, going by his standing, going by his character, though, so to speak. But many persons are beginning to call to question why he would skip that particular burial, that high profile burial. Some others are also saying that, well, based on what's going on, because he is from a certain section of the country, because everything is seen from the lenses and from the eyes of sectionalism across Nigeria, But again, some persons have also said, well, was he even invited in the first place? This is more like a state event. It's an event by the federal government. The government gave him a befitting burial, a military full regalia, burial, and you would think that there are going to be a list of people who would have been invited or not, on that list. Mike Obani is a publisher of Summit newspaper. He's live with us on the phone this morning. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Good afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Mike, I don't know how you received the news about the death of Muhammadu Buhari. I mean, news started filtering in on Sunday. I guess it was Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon or so, even though some persons were
Sunday,
not sure.
so that was Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, Sunday afternoon. So how did you receive it, and what was your first reaction?
It was unexpected. The news came to me as a rude shock because I never expected it. I knew that he was hospitalized in the London clinic. That's the much that I had on the radio and read in the social media. He was hospitalized in the London clinic. But I didn't know that death was actually knocking on his door. So by 5:30, when I understand he died by 4:30 p.m. Nigerian time on Sunday, the 13th of July 2025. So by 5 o'clock, I just opened my television and I saw Muhammadu Buhari, 1942 2025. I said, I hope this man is not dead. But after a while, it became clear that he passed on that same Sunday. So I was shocked. And, every other person I believe should be shocked over the death of an individual, over the death of a human being, because we didn't create ourselves. We're all created by God, and we are very important to God. And, the death of every man, every woman, every child should bring sorrow in the heart of the living. And so I felt so bad. I felt that he shouldn't have died at that point in time, even though he was 82. But being human, you would want human beings like you, a human being like you created by God, to stay as long as it is necessary. So I was quite shocked to learn about his death. Whatever there may be his inadequacies, whatever may be his foibles, whatever may be his mistakes, whatever may be his, the way he ruled Nigeria, whether positively or negatively, one ought to be, one ought to feel sorrowful, over his death, because we're talking about a human being, not just an ordinary human being, but somebody who rose as a recruit in the army to become a general in the Nigerian army, and also became a military head of state, and also country like Nigeria with over 240 million people. So indeed, it was a rude shock to me.
Right. So for you, I mean, there are people who have been saying that a lot of people who attended the burial, Peter Obi was one of those who did not attend the burial yesterday. And I think it was Reno Mokri that brought up that particular thought and started pitching him against Arewa and saying that part of the reasons why he did not attend is because he did not stand for what Arewa really truly stands for. And so it even went to the point of saying that he might not get northern votes if since he refused to attend the burial yesterday. What's your thoughts on that?
First of all, we need to ask ourselves, where was Peter Obi yesterday? Where was he yesterday? Was he in Nigeria? If he was in Nigeria, was he free? Was he sick? Was he healthy? These are questions that one should ask himself or herself before you start making suggestions that he kept away deliberately. Even though I'm not the media person to Peter Obi, one would think that he was far away from the country. One, that he was far away from the country. After all, I mean, the former President Goodluck Jonathan, visited the family of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari in London. I'm not sure Jonathan attended the funeral yesterday. I'm not quite sure. But I've looked at all the pictures taken at that burial, and I didn't see Jonathan. So one can conclude easily that Jonathan was outside the country. All right, and it's not every influential, every high-heeled politician in Nigeria, or every very important personality in Nigeria that attended the yesterday's funeral, and Peter Obi falls into that category. So what I'm saying is specifically is that you know how government does its own thing. When in this kind of situation, there would have been a list of politicians, businessmen, religious people, traditional rulers. The federal government, I'm sure, would have made out a list of such individuals and would have, invited them to the funeral. I've asked ourselves whether Peter Obi was invited by the federal government or by any other government institution, or by a state government like the Katsina state government to attend the burial. There's a hasty conclusion to for anybody to say that Peter Obi deliberately kept away from the that's the kind of thing that's the kind of public function that Peter Obi is known for. And so my take is that maybe he wasn't in the country, maybe he wasn't invited, maybe he was sick yesterday and therefore couldn't attend. So if he didn't attend, it was not deliberate. Nobody should use it as a yardstick to measure his relationship with the Northerners, or his hatred for late former president or whatever. But I'm sure that if he were in the country, or if he was invited, or if he is hale and healthy, he would have attended the funeral.
Okay, there's also a school of thought that feels like, how the Muslim rules are. I mean, as soon as somebody dies, the next thing is just to bury them straight up. There's no it's not like where we have in Christianity, or maybe in the southern Nigeria, where you are kept for at least a month, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes even 3 months, before the funeral is done. Some persons attributed maybe his absence to the fact that his schedule did clash with some other things. Say for instance, I mean, it was even announced that he was supposed to be buried on Monday. Remember, he died on Sunday, and then the news filtered in that he was going to be buried on Monday. And then the Monday came, it didn't happen. Then it will move to Tuesday. So one would have thought that those discrepancies, those immediacy of the way and manner that the Muslim religion, respects their dead, was mostly what may have affected this schedule. Do you think so?
So, well, you mean the schedule of Peter Obi?
Yes.
That's why I'm saying that perhaps it wasn't clear. It wasn't clear to him, assuming that he was in Nigeria yesterday, 2 days ago, assuming that he's fit, that he's healthy, assuming that that he was invited to funeral. Perhaps the shift in the burial date, because we understood initially that, just like he said, that the late former president will be buried on Monday, and then later, according to Muslim, rites, and later we were told that the burial date has been shifted from Monday to Tuesday. Maybe that kind of confusion, maybe that shift in date would have conflicted with his own personal scheduling, and what I'm saying in effect is that that should not be used. His absence should not be used as a yardstick to measure his love for or his cordial relationship with the North, or his love, or the sympathy that he ought to have expressed over the death of the former president Muhammadu Buhari.
All right. Let's talk about his legacies, especially as it concerns the Southeast. What do you think the average Southeasterner would remember him for?
Well, I want to say that you remember that the late former president, fought, in the war between Nigeria and Biafra. We started in 1967 and ended on in January 15, 1970.
Yes.
Close to 30 months civil war. He participated actively in that war. And, he later became a military governor. From there he rose to become a military head of state and ended up as a civilian elected president. And you see, I think he carried over that animosity, that hatred, that bitterness that exists between warring parties. He carried it over into the government. And you recall that there was a time that he described this part of the world, this part of the country, and I mean Southeast, as a dot in the cycle, which, means, if you interpret it, that, the people are insignificant when considering national issues, or as far as the entire country is concerned. So a lot of people feel, a lot of Southeasterners feel that, the late president wasn't a friend to the Igbos or to the Southeasterners. A lot of people have that kind of feeling, for, describing the people or the region as a dot in the cycle. So, a lot of Igbos were disgusted over that description, over that statement. And one cannot really say or pinpoint where, one legacy that, or one national lasting critical project that he constructed or he established in the southeast. And that gives room to that suspicion that perhaps the late general, hated the, people of this area. Well, some may say that he built the second Niger bridge, but his administration didn't start that project. I think that project was started either by the Obasanjo administration or the Jonathan administration. So what he did was to complete the project, and I'm not even sure that by the time he left office, that project had been completely completed. So and you also look at the issue of construction of rail line, and you know that the people of this area are business people. They travel a lot from Port Harcourt to Umuahia to Enugu to Makurdi to up to Maiduguri. There is a rail line, along this corridor. But instead of building the Maiduguri Port Harcourt rail line, he constructed Lagos rail line. Then a rail line linking going to Niger Republic, and I don't know actually who are going to use that rail line from Kano to Niger Republic, relative to the number of people, the large number of people that travel from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, crisscrossing the southeast and the states of the southeast. So and then when you come to appointments, unlike what Buhari did Obasanjo did when he was president, you realize that he appointed very serious and well-educated, Igbos into his administration. There you have people like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. There, we had people like the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Professor Soludo. Well, a whole lot of people that, Buhari picked from Obasanjo picked from the Igbo-speaking area of the southeast. Then even Jonathan, when Jonathan was there, Jonathan appointed an Igbo as chief of army staff and all that. But when he came to Buhari, he gave Igbos what one may consider to be peripheral, appointments. So if you look at as far as Igbos are concerned, if you look at what he put on the ground for Igbos to remember him, you just conclude that there is nothing there to remember him for. There is nothing there that could endear anyone to his presidency. So that's the way I look at it. And so for instance, if you go to his hometown, there is a Federal University of Transport in Daura.
Yeah.
I don't know of any federal university that he built here or he attracted here. So for me, going by his word that this area is a dotted cycle. The way he went about with Nnamdi Kanu, because tried to, separate him totally from the large, population in this area. One would have thought that as he was leaving office, he would have concluded everything about the arrest of Nnamdi Kanu. Either he released him or, put him on trial and finish with the trial. From up to today, the man is still being tried, which is not a tidy, situation. I don't know of anything that our people will remember him for. Now, when I say our people, I mean Igbos or Southeasterners.
All right. Do you think there are especially a few things that leaders can learn? Because again, just like you mentioned before, we heard the news on Sunday that he had passed. We had heard that he was taken to the hospital, and then it happened that the same hospital that he was taken to was the one that Abdul Salami was in, because Abdul Salami actually even said that they were in the same hospital, and it's even a private clinic in hospital, not even a government owned, that is free of charge. I mean, for somebody like that, you would understand that he has a British passport, and he might be able to use the NHS in order to get free medical services in the United Kingdom. But it wasn't to be. He went to one of the most expensive in the world, and many persons have pointed their fingers towards him that while he was president, he never gave so much attention to the health, the health sector in Nigeria. What can leaders of today learn from what had happened?